Today I'm using the Surf Prep sander that I purchased back in, well, maybe about 4 months from now. And this is the HVAC unit, I guess I would call it, the vacuum that goes along with it. It was back ordered a few months, so I only received it, a little bit, 2 months after I got the sander. So here's me trying to figure out how to use the vacuum for the sander. And I don't know if it's 100% correct because when it's working, it goes bomp, 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 which I find very weird. So I'm not sure if I've done something wrong, but I need to look that up. So here's me putting the vacuum together, and I must say it's really great. It does come with 3 little hooks that you can hook the cord to your sander so there's not cords going everywhere. And oh my goodness, I sanded this. I saw no dust whatsoever, and I did not wear a mask. And you can see here, yes, oh my goodness. So foolishly, I was on vacation for a little bit, so I forgot how to do all of these things. My brain isn't what it used to be. And I first put on, I think, when I first started it, it was 120. And then I changed out the sanding paper, and now it's, I think, about 100. So what I'm doing here is I'm just cleaning it up a little bit, and I'm going to put some white wax on this just to make it easily cleanable, or just to make the wood tones a little bit less dark, so I guess lighter. And the cabinet that you see I'm touching on my right-hand side, I am going to be stripping all this brown paint off. When my parents bought this house back in, I think, 1976, all of the wood was yellow. So they stripped the paint and made it the regular color you can see on the right. I believe it's a mahogany stain or something like that. And then they painted the cabinets this brown color. I do not know why. So I will have a video coming up later of me stripping all of the wood, and I'm going to be using whitewash, and then I'm going to be using the liming wax or a white wax on top. Maybe about a week ago, I posted the 2 side tables that I used the same method because I wanted to see how it would look. Another reason why you'll see in a couple of minutes that I do not paint this wood before I wax it is because I wanted to see what it would look like if I just used the regular white wax. I first use wax from Dixie Belle, and then I use the white wax, the liming wax from Fusion. And I do like the Fusion look better because that's what I'm using it for. I'm trying to make the wood a little bit, whiter color. So I'm sure Dixie Belle is great. I did use that for the side tables I have, and it does take about 30 days to cure. So I went on vacation. I came back after about 30 days, and oh my goodness, the top of the side tables are great. So it works really nicely. If you don't like a bunch of sanding videos, then of course you probably wouldn't like lots of these. But it did take me some time, and just keep note, how much dust do you see? Nothing. And there was a tiny bit of dust underneath the sanding area, and that is it. I swept up, and the only thing that came off were like little chunks of the particles that were already on there. If you watched my video about taking the chimney down, the area to the left is the chimney, and I left this gap in between the chimney area to the cupboard because my plan was to put this pegboard in. Before I removed the chimney, the pegboard was just on the wall, attached to the bricks. So here you can see this is Dixie Belle. So I'm putting this on, and it's, once you kind of rub it in, the color kind of goes away, which is fine if you don't want a very thick white color. But for this, I really did want it to look a little bit whiter. So you'll see the difference in a few minutes. Also on the left-hand side, where the bricks hit the wood, I put in a shelf because I want to put a plant up there and have the kitchen a little bit nicer. And I did think that the chimney just used up space for no reason because the chimney never was used since about the 1930s. There were two potbelly stoves that were in this house. One was upstairs and one was in the dining room. And the reason I know that is because there are circular holes that the potbelly stove would have originally been attached to. Now I'm using the Fusion paint, Fusion liming wax on this, and I think it looks whiter. On the left-hand side, there wasn't any other wax from Dixie Belle, but now I am covering the Dixie Belle. So maybe if I put 2 coats of Dixie Belle, it'd look a little bit darker, but I thought it's called a liming wax, so maybe that's the difference. Yeah, so this house was built in 1909. I have documents from the city. However, the auditor of the city, or of where I live, says this house was built in 1929. So I think that the problem there is there was an addition put on this house that we took down because it was kind of falling down. If you put a marble in one corner, it would quickly go to another corner. So yeah, it wasn't really built properly back in 1929, I guess. So we tore that down, and now I bought the house from my folks. And so I'm trying to make it a little bit nicer for me. I updated the floors. There's a video about that. We had the same, I don't know if it was vinyl or linoleum. So here are the pieces of the pull-out pegboard. We ended up using 2 casters, not just one like you'll see here. This is hemlock wood that we got from Lowe's. And here is a router, and my husband was helping me today because he was living overseas. He just came back, so we're bonding. So we are going to switch out the bit for the router because my suggestion was to make the box, the L-shape support beam a little bit stronger by attaching it with a routered edge. And then it took us probably, I don't know, a half an hour to set this up. You can see what we're doing right here. And I just thought to myself, oh my goodness, let's just not do that for the box. So you'll see that also coming up. So we routered both edges and then we put them together. And we use brad nailing gun and wood glue. Now my dad is so smart. He always puts glue in these little like baby jars. And the reason for that is, have you ever used those plastic glue containers that the glue comes in and it gets full of junk and you have to put it under hot water to clean the glue out? Oh my goodness, it makes me crazy. So, yeah, the little jars are a really good idea. Now, I'm not sure if you're supposed to cut 2 pieces of wood at the same time. I have for the longest time, and it always works out so well. So, one way to make sure that they're the same is to put them next to each other. So now this one, you can see we did not use any kind of... Yeah, see, my brain, I can't even think what it's called. I just talked about it right now. The beveling. Yeah, we didn't bevel these. We didn't cut anything out. We're just going straight on straights. We are using L-shaped brackets for support. We used glue, and then we used a brad nailer to keep them supported. And also, the back of the pegboard is a very good support as well. So it seemed, in my opinion, very stable. Now, when I was thinking about making one of these pegboards, I did look online, and this is about 70 inches tall, and it's a almost 4-inch board that's supporting it, and the ones we found online were about $500 that were pre-made. So we thought we could do it ourselves. So here is the L-shaped bracket. That's the support. It's there first. And we're just measuring to see how it's going to look when it's all put in, and just checking before we do more work. So now we are cutting the pegboard. And I think pegboards are really good to use if you have a lot of little kitchen tools that can be hung up, because I think using drawer space for this is just a really bad way to use drawer space, because I don't know many people who have enough drawer space, but I do not. So this is the little, actually this is a staple nailer. It's not a brad nailer. And it just is so much faster to have these tools. Now, my whole thing is nobody's perfect, only God's perfect. That's my saying, so people don't get upset when they make a mistake. Now, when we cut this, I think we did a pretty good job, but the pegboard wasn't 100% correct. So later on, we put a little piece of trim on the top, so that way you can't tell that it wasn't measured or, I don't know, cut perfectly. So having squares on squares, yeah, when you're not a real woodworker, it would make me crazy if I had to be perfect. So I used the extension screwdriver piece because it was really hard to screw the casters on without them. It's very narrow next to the wheel. So now this pull is what you can get. Now we have a Lowe's that's a lot closer than Home Depot. I have nothing against Home Depot, but I like Lowe's better. So we went over there, and a few months ago when I was first planning this, I got a pullout that locked. Now that wasn't good because my mother, who lives in the same house, isn't that strong. So she could actually not pull out the pegboard that I had attached while I was gone on vacation. So this new one that we bought is not the locking ones. So it's a lot easier to use. So we're putting the L-shaped brackets on there, putting the casters on there. And we did have to move the casters twice because it was too far back and it hit the side of the trim. So we did have to change that. Now we're using a crowbar here because I want the L-shaped bracket to be, not the L-shape, the L-shaped support closer. Ah, there you go. It's all connected up there. I did use the liming wax on the wood, so it's a little bit lighter. It's on both sides. I think it's turned out pretty well. New flooring looks great. And there you go. A nice little shelf on top. Oh, perfection. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe. Have a great day. Bye-bye.